So, I feel like we have a bit of a problem in Animal Hospital right now. I've also heard people talking about some kind of drama surrounding Dandy's world, but to be completely honest, I don't know enough about that situation to really comment on it. Instead, I want to focus on something that I have personally experienced while playing Animal Hospital. The biggest issue, at least in my opinion, is hackers. If you've played the game for a while, you probably know how the progression works. The further you get into a run, the more difficult everything becomes. More patients start arriving. The pace gets faster, and more random events begin stacking on top of each other. Suddenly you're dealing with fires, death rituals, ghosts, and all kinds of mechanics that make surviving another shift harder and harder. It's actually one of the reasons I enjoy the game so much. It starts off fairly relaxed, but after enough shifts it becomes complete chaos, and your teamwork and communication really start to matter. Personally, the furthest I've managed to get was shift 25 while playing with one other person. We were honestly really proud of that run. It took us almost 3 hours of non-stop playing, and by the end we were completely exhausted. Every single shift required more focus than the last, and surviving felt like a real achievement. Then you open the leaderboard, and you see people with scores of 2,000 shifts. Now, let's think about that for a second. If reaching shift 25 took 2 players almost 3 hours, then reaching shift 2000 legitimately would take around 10 straight days of non-stop gameplay without sleeping, without taking breaks, and somehow without making any mistakes. That simply doesn't sound believable. Of course, I can't accuse every single player with a high score of cheating, but when you start seeing numbers that are physically unrealistic, it's pretty obvious that at least some of those leaderboard positions weren't earned fairly. And honestly, that's really frustrating. Not because I expect to become number 1 on the leaderboard, but because it completely removes the motivation to even try. When you finally have an amazing run, maybe you beat your personal best, maybe you spend hours working together with friends, and then you realize that no matter how well you play, you'll never catch someone who simply edited their stats or used exploits. That takes away one of the biggest reasons people enjoy grinding these kinds of games. Leaderboards are supposed to reward dedication, skill, and teamwork. If they're filled with hacked scores, they stop meaning anything. In my opinion, Animal Hospital really needs some kind of proper anti-cheat system. I know anti-cheat isn't easy to make, especially on Roblox where exploiters are constantly finding new ways around protections, but something definitely needs to happen. And yes, this might sound a little harsh, but if it turns out that a large portion of the leaderboard is made up of impossible hacked scores, I honestly think the developers should consider resetting the leaderboards and player statistics. It wouldn't be fun. Some legitimate players would probably lose progress too, and that would absolutely suck. But at least everyone would get a fresh start, and the leaderboard could actually represent real achievements again instead of impossible numbers. Because right now it feels like honest players are competing against people who aren't even playing by the same rules. I think the reason this needs to be addressed sooner rather than later is because problems like this rarely stay small. When a game first starts having issues with hackers, a lot of players usually ignore it. They assume it's just a few people cheating, or that the developers will fix it eventually, but if nothing changes, more and more players start realizing that cheating has no real consequences, and that's when the situation can snowball. Some legitimate players stop caring about the leaderboards because they no longer believe they're fair. Others become frustrated and quit trying to improve because they know they'll never be able to compete with impossible scores. Then there are players who might never have considered cheating before, but after constantly seeing hackers at the top of the rankings, they begin thinking, well, if everyone else is doing it and nobody gets banned, why shouldn't I? That's probably the worst thing that can happen to a game's community. Once cheating starts feeling normal instead of exceptional, it's incredibly difficult to rebuild player trust. The problem also goes beyond the leaderboard itself. Animal Hospital is built around progression. You spend hours improving your skills, learning better strategies, working together with your teammates, and pushing for a higher shift than you've ever reached before. That's what makes each run exciting, but if players stop believing that their achievements actually matter, they lose one of the biggest reasons to keep playing. Eventually, that affects everyone. The most dedicated players stop grinding. Content creators move on to other games because there's less excitement around new records or challenges. New players join, see impossible numbers at the top of the leaderboard, and immediately assume they'll never catch up. Little by little, the community becomes less active, and we've seen this happen to other multiplayer games before. Cheating doesn't usually kill a game overnight. Instead, it slowly chips away at the community. People lose motivation, friends stop logging in, fewer videos get made, Fewer discussions happen, and before you know it, the game feels much quieter than it used to. That's why I think acting early is so important. It's much easier to prevent cheating from becoming a normal part of the game than it is to fix the damage after players have already lost confidence. I also want to make one thing clear. I'm not saying the developers don't care. Making games is hard. Building a reliable anti-cheat system is even harder, especially on Roblox where exploit methods constantly change. Developers are often playing catch-up, patching one exploit while another one appears a few days later, so I understand that there probably isn't a simple one-click solution. But even if a perfect anti-cheat isn't possible, players usually appreciate knowing that the issue is being acknowledged. A simple message saying, "We're aware of the hacking problem and we're working on it," would already give many people confidence that the game is moving in the right direction. Communication matters just as much as the technical solution. At the end of the day, I don't want to make this video just to complain. I'm making it because I genuinely enjoy Animal Hospital and I want to see it continue growing. I'd much rather make videos about new updates, new strategies, funny moments, or trying to beat our previous high score than talk about hackers. Hopefully this is a problem that gets addressed while the community is still strong, because I really believe this game has a lot of potential if it's protected properly. What worries me even more is what happens if nothing changes. When players start feeling like their effort doesn't matter, many of them simply stop trying. Some quit grinding, others quit the game entirely, and that's how communities slowly begin to shrink. I genuinely don't want that to happen because I've really grown to love Animal Hospital. It's one of those Roblox games that surprised me. I wasn't expecting to spend so many hours playing it, but it's honestly become one of my favorite experiences on the platform. That's exactly why I hope the developers take this issue seriously before it grows into an even bigger problem. The more people talk about it in a respectful way, the more likely it is that the developers will notice and hopefully work on a solution. Before I end this video, I also want to mention one more thing. If you've seen these hacked leaderboard scores, you've probably also noticed that finding cheats for this game isn't actually that difficult. There are websites and videos that claim to offer exploits, scripts, or free hacks for Animal Hospital. Please don't download them. Even if you're curious, even if you think you're only trying it once. You never really know what you're installing alongside those files. In the best case scenario, it's just a fake download that wastes your time. In the worst case scenario, it could contain malware, spyware, password stealers, or other software designed to compromise your computer or even your Roblox account. No leaderboard position is worth risking your personal data or your entire PC. So please stay safe, protect your account, and hopefully we'll see Animal Hospital become a fair game again. I'd really hate to see such a fun game slowly lose its community because of something that could still be fixed. But that's just my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts.